Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I have a great and wonderful day. And it seems that Fani Willis is not doing too well. She's being kind of the down under. She's really getting rained down from of all the corruption that she has done throughout the few years. And it's not looking too good for her. Now, the judge has ordered Ferris Bradley to take the stand. Because well, he needs to know they want to know all their information. So it's not looking too great for her. We even know with the whole Wade guy where there's text messages that showing there was a relationship that has begun. Now they're not entirely sure of when it exactly started. That's the reason why they're getting this guy here. And her place is not doing too great. Also look forward to any future videos that are coming out because there's going to be at least 5 today. So we'll take a look at that. So without further ado, here's the clip.
In a hearing to determine whether Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis should be disqualified from the Trump racketeering case.
Atlanta News First, Rebecca Schramm is learning the judge has apparently ordered a certain witness to testify.
We're talking about a man the defense described at one point as their star witness. Well, earlier this month, he declined to answer most questions, citing attorney-client privilege. According to our sources, the judge has now ordered him to testify. Take a look. His name is Terrence Bradley. He first showed up under subpoena a couple of weeks ago. He's a former law partner and one-time divorce attorney of Nathan Wade, the special prosecutor in the Trump case that DA Fani Willis had a now acknowledged relationship with. The question is the timing of that relationship. Willis and Wade testified that they began dating after he took the case. Ashley Merchant, the defense attorney for Trump co-defendant Mike Roman, tried to get Bradley to answer questions that she says would dispute that timeline. Well, Bradley made it clear he didn't want to be there testifying, and he wouldn't answer most questions, citing attorney-client privilege. Here's what Merchant argued in court.
We can go all day about exceptions to this. Fraud to the court, that's an exception. Mr. Wade, we contend, has filed a false affidavit with this court. That is fraud to the court. If this witness has direct knowledge that that is not true, then that's an exception to attorney-client privilege.
It appears the judge now agrees with her. According to our sources, he will compel Bradley to testify about anything he witnessed outside of attorney-client privilege. That hearing is scheduled for 2 o'clock this afternoon, according to our sources. We will be here and we'll let you know what happens. At the Fulton County Courthouse, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
Yeah, so he is being forced to testify here by the judge, and it's not looking too great for Fani Willis. She is really getting her hands tied here with all this crazy stuff. And it's insane to think that that their crusher was going to go through so well. This could be very well. This is just good for Trump overall. Make it no mistake. This is something that that they're going to have to go through a hurdle, and it's not going to be too great for them. And we have some other people as well from News Nation that is talking about this, specifically a lawyer, of going over what could be possibly happen to in this case, where they could just potentially just completely drop it. But we'll see on where that goes, and we'll have this clip here kind of showing exactly what's going on. I'll do my typical response to it.
Shows the Fulton County DA is lying about the timing of her affair with a special prosecutor. Their affair has been under the microscope, with Trump and his co-defendants arguing it created a conflict of interest in the Georgia election interference case. A judge is expected to decide soon whether to disqualify DA Fani Willis. And according to a new court filing, the relationship may have begun months earlier than Willis and Nathan Wade claim. On the stand, Willis angrily denied any wrongdoing that would merit being taken off the case.
You've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. I'm not a hostile witness. I very much want to be. We have defined personal as romantic. It is an inaccurate way to state the question.
And I will certainly restate it so it is very accurate.
Okay, and please do not yell at me.
And joining us now is trial attorney John Fishwick, former U.S. attorney for the Western District of Virginia. Wonderful to have you, John. So how damning are these records? Through these digital and text message revelations, has the defense successfully made the case for disqualification of these prosecutors, in your view?
Kelly, this is very powerful evidence. This evidence puts Nathan Wade at Fani Willis's house 35 times before he was hired as the special prosecutor in the case. Also reflects an inordinate amount of phone calls and texts between the two of them before he was hired. So I think it will certainly strengthen the movement to have her removed from the case, that they had a personal relationship before he was hired. Judge McAfee is going to have to make that determination. But after all, phone evidence where people are standing and living and located, and then also the inordinate amount of texts, I think it's going to be powerful evidence for Judge McAfee. I think he's likely to find that there's a conflict of interest and remove both of them from the case and ultimately the Fulton County Prosecutor's Office.
Now, that is a pretty damning statement, and I would kind of somewhat agree with him in terms of if there is that much corruption in your prosecution, if there is that much corruption in your office, then yeah, it might be just a wise idea to just drop the case altogether. Now, let's just be completely honest. I think we all know that this whole attack on Trump was a sham and was BS. And of course, where Trump had to pay $400 or $350 million for his fraud case is also absurd, because that led to more businesses that are going to want to leave New York because of the stupid case that they brought up against Trump, which they could bring up against anybody. And this is the type of thing that where a lot of these cases are end up backfiring for these states, for these prosecutors, and stuff like this, because it's outright just straight up corruption. And that's just all we can really say about it. It's just what it is. And what would be hilarious, too, if the judge does end up, shutting down all these cases, removing the prosecutor and Fani Willis from this, and, essentially shutting down the case entirely, the woke mob, the very far left, are going to lose their ever-bloody minds. They will not be able to contain their insanity. They will go through the roof, and I don't know what they'll do. They'll probably do some crazy stuff, because nobody understands the mind of the deranged leftists, alright? They're a different breed altogether. We don't know exactly what they do. We all do know that they cause more harm than good, but what they'll do, we just don't know. The insanity is rampant on that side. And it will not be great. The news media outlets will go completely unhinged, probably cite something to where this is unconstitutional, they can't do this, it's illegal, Trump just keeps on getting away with crimes, stuff like that. The typical far left BS that they always keep on trying to pull when, things just don't go their way. And that's just the reality of it. And now we're going to go a bit further into the actual story here, talking about, the data, the phone data, and the current case on what is going to happen thus far to the entire thing.
When do you think we will know whether or not these records will be admitted into evidence by the judge? And either way, these records have been made public, so has the real damage already been done in this case?
Kelly, I think the damage has been done. After all, the judge, even if he excludes them, he's going to look at these records. So he's going to see these records as he makes his decision. And I think Judge McAfee is likely to say, I'm going to admit these records. They're probative of whether they had a personal relationship. This is cell phone evidence that's used in many, many criminal cases. So he's going to rely on that as part of his decision. There's a hearing set for this Friday where the lawyers are going to argue it. One of the things Judge McAfee, I guess, will have to decide, is he going to take more evidence? I don't think he will. I think he's going to look at this phone evidence. There's already been one witness who has testified that they had a personal relationship before Nathan Wade was hired. So I think the judge has enough to rule. And remember, Kelly, he said if there's an appearance of impropriety, I could remove them from the case. And there's no question that that has been met at this point.
Drawing on your expertise, John, how do you anticipate Willis and Wade will fight these accusations moving forward? What do you believe we'll be hearing from their side in this case?
Kelly, I think they're just going to hunker down. Their response to the phone records was, you haven't proved anything. This doesn't show 100% that he was in the house. This just shows that there was contact between them by phone and text. After all, when she testified, her lawyers didn't question her. I think they're going to try to not put on any more evidence and just say, you haven't proved anything. We deny that there was a personal relationship. Judge McAfee, you should find that there wasn't a personal relationship. Let us stay in the case. But I don't think they're going to put on any more evidence. They're going to try to shut it down and say they haven't met their burden of proof. We should stay on the case.
Which to me, I don't see there is that very much left that they can do. Because there is proof. You are at least in conversation, your text messages to show it, and if you were in a relationship or talking to each other prior to all this stuff in the beginning with, that does seem to a problem in the case. At least some type of issue, right? So I don't see where any judge could want to go and do this type of thing. It seems that crazy, and Fani Willis has been taking L after L after L, and it's heartening to see that how their side is going to come up with anything relatively decent. They haven't been winning anything; they've only been losing, and if anything, if this does go further past, they don't get removed from the case, this will show on how corrupt and how bad the case is, and most people is just going to embolden their beliefs at how corrupt the system is. So this doesn't really help really much of anything. It shows that the Democratic people are very far left, are quite corrupt. They'll do anything to gain power, and they want to use this type of power to either interrupt the election or what have you. This is just my assumption. YouTube, calm the heck down. I'm just making some points here that may be aligned to this. I don't know if it's entirely true, but there's a strong possibility. And again, the fact of the matter is that we know this court case is insanely corrupted. We already know this, and we're seeing these people's lives be spilled out over and over again in front of us, knowing darn well what's going on. And at the very least, it is not looking good for Fani Willis at all.
Now, some say Fani Willis will be lucky to get out with her law license intact. What sort of implications, John, do you see this new information having, not only for Willis, but for the future of the former president's case as well?
Well, I think the defense lawyers are going to come out swinging on this. They're going to say, look, you have misrepresented when the relationship started. You've misrepresented that to a judge. So that's a very serious allegation that has very serious consequences if proven to both Fani Willis and to Nathan Wade. But I think the judge is going to look at, have they met the burden of proof of was there a personal relationship? And this phone evidence is very strong. It certainly puts him in her house on a 35 times before he was hired. That's a lot of times to be in somebody's house that you're going to work for. So I think that's strong circumstantial evidence. You couple that with Yuri's testimony, the independent witness who said they had a personal relationship. I think there's enough evidence there for the judge to find that. And then I think it's going to be an ongoing issue for Mr. Wade and Ms. Willis as to whether they were honest with the court.
Yeah, and if you have the photo evidence that's at least, or the phone data evidence that's showing that he was at her house at least 35 times, that is pretty crazy evidence. There's no way you can really remove that from there at all. I mean, if there shows that he's been there at least 35 times, well, corruption be damned. But I honestly think that they're done at that point. So yeah, I don't think Fani Willis is going to be too great. I think her career is officially over, and it just seems to be going downhill faster than a speeding rock. So, let's see how this plays out. It's not going too well for, and, all that great stuff. Okay, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted. This is algorithmic disease, the social media.